Yesterday, Sayadaw explained how the 3 rounds keep on rotating and how the 3 rounds are cut. Not removing the defilements, the other 2 rounds, the round of deeds and the round of resultants, will keep on rotating. By practicing Satipatthana meditation, cultivating 8 factors of the path, one removes the 3 rounds, Kilesavada, Kamavada, and Vipakavada. By removing, abandoning Kilesavada, the round of defilements, the other 2 rounds are automatically cut. By practicing the 3 trainings, Sila, Samadhi, and Panya, cultivating 8 factors of the path, one removes the 3 rounds. The 3 rounds are cut through the cultivation of the 8 factors of the path. So if it were to explain, it will be very lengthy if it were to explain in detail. In order to understand, one should practice respectfully, meticulously, and one will understand through his or her experience of practice. One cultivates knowledge stage by stage. If the person does not discern, one does not remove the wrong view. Not being able to remove the Kilesavada, round of defilements, the other rounds will also rotate based on the round of defilements. In order to remove the rounds, one needs Kammaskata Samadhi. One needs the view that good deeds bring good results, bad deeds bring bad results. Earlier on, Sayadaw explained that Kammaskata Samadhi is the junction. In order to be free from the suffering, in order to cut the 3 rounds, one should have the foundation of Kammaskata Samadhi. In order to cultivate Vipassana Samadhi, one's mind needs to be purified. There should be Citta Visuddhi, purification of the mind. And one should fulfill Sila, morality. Fulfilling Sila Visuddhi, purification of morality. Based on the purification of the mind, Citta Visuddhi, and Sila Visuddhi, purification of morality, one practices Satipatthana meditation, noting the arising object with sustained mindfulness the moment the object arises, so that the noting mind falls on the object and Khanika Samadhi, momentary concentration, develops. When there is Khanika Samadhi, momentary concentration, the mind is free from Nirvana hindrances, the mind is purified, there is Citta Visuddhi, purification of the mind, as the mind is away from Nirvana hindrances. When the mind is purified, one discerns the Nama Rupa distinctly. And Sayadaw gives the example of sitting. By being mindful of the sitting, one discerns the Nama Rupa and the cause and effect. Especially one comes to understand that the consciousness being the cause which gives rise to rupa, materiality, effect. They are the rupa, materiality that are produced by karma, and they are the materiality that are produced by temperature. When the temperature is cold, the materiality produced by the cold arises, and when the temperature is warm, the materiality that are produced by the warm temperature arises. And by being mindful, one comes to understand that the relevant cause gives rise to relevant effect. So according to the temperature, heat, cold, the materiality are produced by these heat and cold. And also the nutrients from the food also produce materiality. When one does not eat, if there is hunger, the body becomes weak, the materiality becomes weak and withered due to the deficiency of the nutrients. And by eating, even if one eats 1 or 2 morsels of food, one becomes fresh again. So the nutriment contained in the food produces the materiality. And one will come to understand it by being mindful. Not observing the object, one does not know. In order to know, one should note the object respectfully, meticulously. And to the yogi who practices respectfully, meticulously, the person can discern nama-rupa, cause and effect, even within 1 or 2 days. Discerning that the cause gives rise to effect, one understands that things are not causeless. In this way, one removes wrong view, uncertainty, and doubt. When one understands that relevant cause gives rise to relevant effect, one comes to understand that there is no creator. And also, one removes the fictitious cause view when one discerns that relevant cause gives rise to relevant effect. So one needs the foundation of discerning the nama-rupa, cause and effect. Discerning the nama-rupa, cause and effect, one has not cultivated Vipassana yet. But discerning the nama-rupa, cause and effect, is the foundation to cultivate the Vipassana knowledge. So one should have the foundation of Citta Visuddhi, purification of the mind, Sila Visuddhi, purification of the morality, and Kankha Vitarana Visuddhi, the purification, Ditti Visuddhi, the purification of one's view. So it is the foundation to cultivate Vipassana. And Sayadaw will explain how Vipassana Samadhi is cultivated, and Sayadaw will explain what is Anicca, what is Aniccalakkhana, and what is Aniccanupassana. In order to cultivate knowledge, saddha, faith and confidence, in order to cultivate knowledge, the Kammaskata Samadhi that is based on saddha, faith and confidence is very important. Having Kammaskata Samadhi based on saddha, one refrains from wrongdoings that one does not meet harm or bad results. Performing things that should be performed, one gains benefit. And the person becomes true human, the person has a humane mind, the person cultivates human knowledge, and the person becomes outstanding human, and his or her life is uplifted. If such kind of people, if the number of such people grow, then the society will become peaceful. Saddha Mulika Kammaskata Samadhi. It is very important to have Kammaskata Samadhi, the view that good deeds bring good results, bad deeds bring bad results, based on saddha, faith, and confidence. Having Kammaskata Samadhi based on saddha, one has Ujjugaditi, one has view that is correct, the view that is straight and correct. Having correct view, one follows the correct path. By following the correct path, one reaches the destination, and one will gain peacefulness stage by stage. So that's why Sayadaw has been explaining from the basic, taking time to explain from the basic. The yogis who have come here to practice, even if they have not cultivated this Kammaskata Samadhi yet, but by listening to the teachings of the Buddha, attentively, respectfully, during the talk, then they will be cultivating this Kammaskata Samadhi based on faith and confidence. Having Kammaskata Samadhi based on confidence, one refrains from wrongdoings that one does not meet harm or danger, and by performing things that should be performed, one gains benefit. So one should develop, cultivate the wholesome deeds so that the wholesomeness will grow, the wholesomeness will be cultivated so that it will become big, increased, and many, and it will bring much benefit. Based on the Kammaskata Samadhi, one should be mindful of the objects that arises at the present moment, and one should observe the object. The moment the object arises, one should have mindfulness as the protection. Having mindfulness, observing the object, one discerns the nama rupa, and one cultivates detti visuddhi, purification of the view, and one removes ahetuka ditti, the causeless view. And discerning cause and effect, discerning that relevant cause gives rise to relevant effect, one will no longer believe in unrelevant cause, and one removes the wrong view of Creator. When the person gets to the stage of discerning cause and effect, it is said that the person has easy breathing in the sasana, as the person has something to rely on and depend on. As the person understands cause and effect clearly, later on, one also comes to discern that everything that arises passes away, arising and passing away. If the person does not discern the arising and passing away, the person take things as permanent, and they think that the nama-rupa are permanent, good and self, so long as one does not discern the arising and passing away. So in order to remove the wrong view, one should continue the practice. By continuing the practice, one discerns the dissolution of the object. So discerning the dissolution of the object, one comes to understand that things are impermanent. So seeing the dissolution, one cultivates Vipassana, jnana, insight, knowledge. So insight, knowledge begins when one discerns the dissolution of the object. Discerning nama-rupa, cause and effect, is only the foundation. So these two knowledges are not Vipassana knowledge yet. But one needs the foundation of discerning nama-rupa, cause and effect, in order to cultivate Vipassana. And thus, these two knowledges, knowledge into nama-rupa, cause and effect, are taken as Vipassana, but at the stage of these two knowledges, as the person has not discerned the dissolution yet, the person does not know the impermanence, and thus these two knowledges are not true Vipassana knowledge. After one has attained these two knowledges, and as the person continues the practice, when viriya, sati and samadhi, when effort, mindfulness and concentration becomes strong, one discerns the arising and passing away of the object. Discerning the arising and passing away of the object, the person understands the impermanence. It is said that Anicca Dhamma hi Atano Sabhavena Janantana Niccata Parikipanti Nama. As the person is observing the nama-rupa, when the person discerns the characteristics of impermanence, when the person discerns the arising and passing away, it is said that the nama-rupa admit themselves as impermanent. So they are as if like saying that we are impermanent. So in this way, the nama-rupa that had been observed, when the person sees the passing away of these nama-rupa deny that they are permanent. So it is as if these nama-rupa that has been noted are confessing that they are impermanent. So it is like saying that because you observe us precisely in order to discern, you know that we are impermanent. So before one practices, before the person practices, the person think of them as permanent. So the nama-rupa that has been noted are like confessing we are impermanent. We are not permanent as you have thought as before, but as you observe us precisely, accurately, to discern, we are impermanent. So in this way, the nama-rupa that has been noted seem to confess themselves that they are impermanent. In this way, by discerning the arising and passing away, one discerns the characteristic of impermanence. and one cultivates Vipassana Samadhi. In the word Vipassana Samadhi, we means in various ways of impermanent suffering and non-self, and Passana means to discern or to see. So usually the yogi discerns the arising and passing away, and yogi gains the knowledge of Vipassana. In the text it is said that Anicca Veditapan, Aniccalakkhana Veditapan, Aniccanupassana Veditapa, Aniccanupassi Veditapo. Among these four, the first is Khanda Pañcaka Anicca, meaning that the five khanda, the five aggregates, are anicca, impermanent. So the nama rupa are impermanent. The nama rupa that are arising at the sixth sense door are impermanent. So in other words, the striker element, receptor element, and the ignition element, they are impermanent. So the five aggregates are impermanent. The receptor element, striker element, and the ignition element that arise at the sixth sense door, they arise due to their conditions, and they are anicca, impermanent. Hotwa abhavato, as they were not present, but they arise when there are favorable circumstances and conditions, and they don't stay the same, they pass away. So they arise and they are not present for long, they arise and pass away. So arising and passing away is the nature of the nature. Rising and passing away is the nature. Hotwa abhavakaro duk Aniccalakkhana, meaning that the arising and passing away is the characteristic of impermanence. It is the manner of impermanence. So the manner is not the true nature, it is paññati, concept, where the anicca are the paramattha, the ultimate reality, but the manner, the characteristic of impermanence, it is not paramattha. So the arising and passing away are the Aniccalakkhana, the characteristic of impermanence. By discerning the dissolution of the object, one cultivates Aniccanupassana, discerning the impermanence. By noting the object, one discerns the arising and passing away. Discerning the arising, passing away, one understands the impermanence through one's own practice. So Aniccanupassana is the knowledge discerning the impermanence. It is also called Vipassana Jnana, insight knowledge, and it is also called Vipassana Samadhi. But here it is called as Aniccanupassana, the knowledge that discerns the impermanence. The person who discerns the impermanence is called Aniccanupassi. Aniccanupassi is the person who cultivates knowledge into impermanence. In order to explain with the example of sitting down, there is the series of intention to sit. So the series of intention arise and pass away, They are nama, mentality, which are anicca, impermanent. And sitting down, the body becomes heavier and heavier. The heaviness, it is rupa, materiality, which is anicca. So at the sitting down, there is the nama, which is anicca, and rupa, which is anicca. The series of intention to sit, giving rise to series of sitting down. So both the intention, which is the mentality, is anicca, as well as the effect, the materiality, is also anicca. And in order to discern, one should note respectfully, meticulously. Noting sitting, one discerns heaviness, stiffness, tension. So when the mind falls on the intention, one discerns the nama, which is anicca. And when the mind falls on stiffness, tension, heaviness, one discerns rupa, materiality, which is anicca. So these nama rupa, they do not stay the same. They arise and pass away. The intention arises and pass away. Stiffness, tension, movement, heaviness arise and pass away. Hotva abhava karo, the arising and disappearance, the arising and passing away, is the Aniccalakkhana, the characteristic of impermanence. By noting the object, by seeing the dissolution of the object, one comes to know that it is impermanent. So it is Aniccanupassana, knowledge into impermanence. The yogi who possesses the knowledge into impermanence is called Aniccanupassana. By noting at the moment of sitting down, standing up, bending, stretching, turning, one can discern the impermanence. So by noting the object, when one sees the disappearance, dissolution, passing away of the object, one cultivates Vipassana samadhi. And Sayadaw did not explain this earlier on, as some of the yogis, when they have been explained during the talk, they come to the interview talking the things that they learned from the Dhamma talk as if they were their true practice. And some of them has been copying from what has been taught in the Dhamma talk. And when they come for interview, they say that, I know as being taught in the Dhamma talk, and so on. When the object arises, one should just note it, and one should not be deliberately analyzing as this is anicca. If one is deliberately analyzing as anicca, it will just be imagination and thought. So one does not need to deliberately analyze as anicca, but one has to note the object effectively, efficiently at the moment the object arises, and one will discern anicca automatically by observing the object. Sayadaw gives the example. If there is a person who has 3 names, in one place he or she will be called by one name, in another place he or she will be called by another name, in another place, in the third place, he or she will be called by the third name. Even though there are 3 names, even though the names differ, it is the same person. The nama rupa, because they are impermanent, they are called anicca. And because these nama rupa are constantly arising and passing away, and thus they are suffering, and they are also called dukkha. There is no atta, no self, no jiva atta, no individual soul, no parama atta, no supreme soul, and thus they are anatta, non-self. Nama rupa has the three names anicca, dukkha, and anatta. By discerning anicca, impermanence, one also discerns dukkha, suffering. And by discerning dukkha, suffering, one also discerns anatta, anatta, non-self. Yad anicca tan dukkha, the thing that is impermanent is suffering. Yan dukkha tad anatta, the thing that is suffering is also non-self. So in this way, by discerning the impermanence, one also discerns suffering. By discerning suffering, one also discerns non-self. But at times, the Aniccalakkhana, the characteristic of impermanence, prevails in one's practice. At times, the Dukkhalakkhana, the characteristic of suffering, prevails. At times, the Anattalakkhana, the characteristics of non-self, prevails. But when one gets to the higher knowledges, Dukkhalakkhana, the characteristic of suffering, and Anattalakkhana, the characteristic of non-self, prevails. But by discerning one of these characteristics, one is said to be discerning the other two. As there are the three names, anicca, dukkha, and anatta, there are also the three characteristics, the characteristics of impermanence, the characteristic of suffering, and the characteristics of non-self. By discerning any one of these three, one cultivates Vipassana knowledge. By discerning any one of the three, one is said to discern all three. By discerning one of the three, it is said that one automatically discerns the other two. By discerning the impermanence, one removes the wrong view of permanence. Discerning that things are suffering, one will no longer take things as good. In this way, sukha sanya, the perception of good and pleasant, will be removed by discerning suffering. And by discerning that things are happening in its own accord, one removes attasanya, the perception of self. So in this way, discerning anicca, dukkha, and anatta, one removes the wrong view of permanent good or self. Discerning Aniccalakkhana, the characteristic of impermanence, one removes mana, conceit. And discerning Dukkhalakkhana, the characteristic of suffering, one removes tasna, craving. And discerning Anattalakkhana, the characteristic of non-self, one removes wrong view. In this way, one cultivates Vipassana samadhi by discerning the characteristic of impermanent suffering and non-self. Discerning the characteristics of impermanent suffering and non-self, one removes mana, conceit, tasna, craving, and ditthi, wrong view. And his or her view will be purified. And one cultivates sammasana jnana. And tomorrow, Sayadaw will explain how one cultivates sammasana jnana. And from then on, Sayadaw will explain udayapaya jnana, insight into arising and passing away. When one gets to the stage of Uddiyapaya Jnana, by continuing the practice, the person is sure to attain the supramundane knowledge in this very life by practicing diligently. And this will be all for today.